I'm Nurse Nancy, and I work on a team of public health nurses in Ontario. Every day, I work to combat the wicked problems being faced by nurses around the world. Today, I'm going to talk about one in particular. Obesity is a complex problem, impacting a large variety of people across Canada. My role as a public health nurse often involves working with lower socioeconomic populations, and within this population, we are seeing a drastic rise in obesity rates. Once we have a better understanding of what is influencing this population, we are going to look into possible ways we as nurses can work together to combat this problem. Nurses are the largest body of healthcare providers. Think about the difference we can make as a team. Let's first talk about what obesity is and how we classify it. Obesity is when someone has so much fat on their body that it begins to negatively impact their health. We measure this by categorizing a person's body mass index, or BMI. A BMI is calculated by taking an individual's weight in kilograms and dividing it by their height in meters squared. For example, a person who weighs 80 kilograms and is 160 centimeters tall would have a BMI of 31.3. A healthy range for adults is 18.5 to 24.9, and a person is considered to be obese when they have a BMI greater or equal to 30. Although BMI can be inaccurate when measuring people with a higher or lower than average muscle mass, found in bodybuilders, children, and elders, BMI gives us an accurate picture when looking at the general public. Let's first consider the entire population of Canada. In Canada, 6.3 million adults are currently considered clinically obese. That's an astonishing 1 in 4 people. Obesity is even more prevalent in lower socioeconomic populations. Since I work in public health, I see firsthand the influential factors impacting this population. There are 3 common factors faced when we are looking at the influence on this population. 1, built environment, 2, education, and 3, economic stability. Let's look into these a little deeper. Imagine this. You live in a neighborhood that has a Harvey's a 5-minute walk from your house. A McDonald's is a 7-minute walk away, and the convenience store which is only 3 minutes away. But the grocery store is a 20-minute walk from your house. You can't afford a car or public transportation. Where do you think you would buy most of your food? That's a common problem faced in low-income neighborhoods. This is how important built environment is when we talk about health and obesity. The people living in these areas often lack access to healthy foods, and this leads to a higher level of obesity. Without access to fresh foods, how can we expect these people to have the opportunity to eat healthy meals? The second factor we need to consider, as the well-educated nurses that we are, is the population's education. Most often, people living in lower-income neighborhoods have a lack of knowledge and understanding regarding nutrition. Not only are they less likely to make informed healthy choices, but education levels go hand in hand with economic stability. Economic stability is the third influential factor. Most families in these neighborhoods have a limited income. Let's put ourselves in their shoes. If you only have $20 for groceries this week, would you spend it on produce that'll only last 4 or 5 days? Or would you buy the mac and cheese that would last you a month? In order for these families to ensure food security, they often have to choose the food that will last longer. And this food is often less nutritious. As we can see, these 3 factors go hand in hand, and thus we must be creative and understanding when brainstorming and implementing future policies. You're probably wondering what on earth we can do to make a difference. We've come up with 2 brand new policies and 1 reformed policy to kick obesity to the curb. Our 3 policies involve increasing regulated exercise in schools, increasing knowledge, and decreasing the cost of healthier foods. Let's start with a policy influencing the price of food, since economics is such a big factor in this problem. We as nurses need to advocate for a policy that will increase taxes on unhealthy food while decreasing taxes on the healthy foods. Ultimately, we can hope that this will encourage and enable people to purchase healthier food options. Our second policy would be to implement an educational grant that would bring nurses into schools on a monthly basis. These nurses would educate children on the importance of healthy eating and nutrition. These nurses could implement new, creative, and innovative ways for children to learn, with the goal of increasing their health literacy into adulthood. Our final suggestion is to reform a policy that is already in place. Currently, schools in Ontario require students to partake in 15 minutes of physical activity a day. But really, is that enough? With the increase in screen time and the decrease in playtime, we think kids could benefit from a longer period of time dedicated to physical activity. We are suggesting that the provincial government implement an hour-long after-school program, strictly dedicated to increasing physical activity for children. This after-school program would be especially beneficial in lower socioeconomic areas because it provides a safe form of childcare for parents who can't afford it otherwise. This redesigned policy will hopefully encourage children to stay active for the rest of their lives. With the help of nurses like you, we can make these policies a reality and as a team can combat any wicked problem we come up against.
created using Powtoon.